Taking a quick look at how global markets closed on Thursday and how Asian markets have opened this Friday morning. The S&P 500 hit an all-time high on the back of better than expected earnings as well as good US jobs data. Unemployment claims in the US came in at 290,000 versus estimates of 300,000. The S&P 500 rose 0.33% and is up now 1.75% for the week and over 5.5% for the month of October, which is definitely good news. The Nasdaq also gained 0.2% despite IBM being a drag. IBM closed almost 10% lower in trade on Thursday after a revenue miss for the company. The Dow closed absolutely flat. In fact, the Dow was down around 2 basis points in trade on Thursday. Moving on to Europe, all European indices closed in the red with China's property woes in focus. Mind you, Evergrande came back on exchanges yesterday after a 2-week break and was down 12.88% in trade yesterday. Since then, it has been reported early today that Evergrande has paid off some of its interest payments due on the 23rd of September. So that should somehow help global markets as well as Evergrande and the property woes in China. Moving back to Europe, so European indices closed lower. The DAX was down 1/3%. The FTSE was down nearly 0.5% in trade, while the CAC 40 was down over 0.25% in trade yesterday. Stock 600 was pretty much flat, down around 8 basis points in trade. The Japan's Nikkei index dropped nearly 2% in trade yesterday, while all other Asian indices were in the red other than the Shanghai index. Shanghai index was up around 0.1% in trade yesterday. Moving on to how Asian markets have started today, they've started quite mixed. The Nikkei has gained marginally after falling nearly 2% yesterday as we spoke. The ASX 200 is absolutely flat in early trade. KOSPI is marginally lower. While the SGX Nifty Futures, which really determines how Indian markets perform, was lower for a third day in a row yesterday, down around 0.4%, is trading flat, in fact, with a positive bias in early trade today, up around 5 basis points and is at around 0.25% higher in trade as we speak. The London Metal Index closed around 3.5% plus lower yesterday, so down around 3.73% as commodities cooled. Copper and iron ore were down almost 3.5% each, while aluminium was the real marked outperformer or underperformer, as I may call it, was down over 5% in trade yesterday, well below the $3,000 mark. Now, oil has dipped to around $82.5 a barrel, with Brent at $85 a barrel. The weaker dollar across the week, of course, in the last 3-4 trading sessions been trading quite weak other than yesterday, has led gold to rise up, and gold is at now almost $1,790 an ounce. Moving on to how the dollar index has performed, gained around 0.25% in trade yesterday, is still in the negative for the week as we discussed, and is trading flat with a positive bias up 2 basis points in early trade today. The US 10-year treasury yields have climbed and are at close to 1.7% now, with Bitcoin slipping 5% in trade and back at the $63,000 mark. That's a roundup from our side for today.